Hello and welcome to the very first ever episode of the Doughy Cast.
We're not. That's just a placeholder.
That's a working title, the Doughy Cast. Welcome, I am Sam Davis, aka Sam's Movies, and I'm joined by Six Factions, aka.
Adam Cook.
There you go. Just waiting.
Yeah, it took me a while. Sorry, I'm slow. Looking at hentai on my phone.
Oh,
I'm
that
not
was
actually,
lovely to know, wasn't it? What a
not
great start
actually.
to the
Of course,
series.
I'm not actually. Why would I do that?
History will remember that you said you were looking at hentai on your phone at the beginning of
Yeah,
the show.
that's being recorded now, so it's not like I can ever just delete it.
Okay, so
Ooh,
today.
that's a nice one. I think.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
just
I'm done.
kidding.
All right, go on.
For a bit of background about us, we are family friends our whole life. I've known this boy since he was a fetus, actually.
Basically, yeah.
Well, you were
actually.
born before me, so, you know.
Yeah, so I knew you were when you were a fetus.
Fucking hell. We're the same age. Not in the same womb. That's pretty weird. But,
What?
no.
Don't add the weird info, you egg.
I just made it so bad.
Yeah,
No,
you
but
did. Oh my god.
we today are actually talking about something, believe it or not, not just mindless jabbering. And it's in the title. It's h3h3 Productions and how their podcast. We're shitting on another podcast with our first podcast. How their podcast. Sorry, Adam.
No, I was just repeating what you said. We're shitting on another podcast with our podcast, which is shit. So like,
Oh, well, that's some
Self-deprecation.
self-deprecation. That
I
ruins
love
the
it.
whole show, doesn't it?
look, let's just
Fair enough.
keep going. Give us
No,
a
but
bit in.
The point is, H3H3 Productions is they're not good right now. They're a corporate shill,
Not in a good spot.
as they'd say. They've completely sold out, and the host Ethan Klein, who I used to idolize when I was younger. This is one of my favorite YouTubers of all time.
Dangerous.
Probably, yeah, it's dangerous to idolize someone because one day they could turn into a dick, and that's unfortunately what's happened here. Ethan has really, you can take that Simpsons clip where the guy goes, "I'm sorry, sir, I'm afraid you've gone mad with power." That's from the Simpsons movie, if you don't know.
I'm sure.
Sorry, that's
I
just a
haven't
really
seen it, but,
stupid
like,
reference.
that was a poor reference.
Yeah,
Let
sorry
me be
about it.
real though. Like I don't want to be one of those people that said, "Oh, I always had a bad feeling about this guy," but it's like.
You can tell.
Yeah, you could like if you go back to some of his old stuff, the signs were there.
Yeah, no, you're right. They
Like
were.
you have to be a certain kind of person to, rag on other people
Yeah.
like we are doing right now.
No,
but
see-
like this is more of a breakdown as opposed to just a full-on gunning for them with a carpet bombing of, insults and all that. But like, yeah, he sort of subscribed to the Leafy is here, pyrocynical.
Yeah.
Mandated sort of book of commentary where you just find a topic and then rag on them. Like,
Pretty much.
What, that kid Misha that did like, Leafy is an asshole, Leafy is a retard. Yeah, he I think I watched that video of his first and it was just him ragging on the kid. It's not great.
Yeah.
Join the club like everyone else has done it.
Yeah. H3H3, he's had a very decorated history. The guy started on YouTube working from Israel, his very, very small flat in Israel. Just for the record, guys, I've seen all of their videos. Even their unlisted videos. I mean, I don't like to, say, "Oh, look at me, I've seen all this stuff." But this is just to let guys know of how much I know about these people's content. H3H3, for the longest time, up until maybe even a couple of weeks ago, was my favorite YouTube channel of all time, just because their comedy was just my kind of comedy. It was so entertaining for me and I enjoyed it. And I was so inspired by the stuff they were making. They were literally making stuff off the budget of nothing. And they were making it so entertaining because Ethan, the main host, Ethan Klein of the show, well, the reaction videos that they did earlier in their channel, he was just so good. I mean, his comedic timing worked. But, they hit an iceberg eventually. Their content was so modest and was so great and was just the kind of channel you go to just chill and enjoy. Just a nice guy.
Political.
I mean, there were some bumps in the road. He never, ever did anything political, never tried to push an agenda. He never tried to do anything like that. And then all of a sudden, in 2016, midway 2016, they move to Los Angeles. They have a shit ton more money. And all of a sudden, they start getting on their high horse and talking about this stuff. And this wasn't something I was picking up on because I was still such a huge fan. I when you're a fan of a channel like that, you don't want to think that they're bad because you
Yeah.
followed them for that long amount of time. You're just like, shit, I've been following these guys. I've been watching all their videos for the past
It's
year.
kind of like the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah,
Like you put so much effort into, you know, paying attention to what they're doing,
exactly.
and like how they do things that you think like to hate them at this point would require like a monolithic thing. Like, I mean, I'll admit I watched a few of their videos. Some of them are pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Some of them are still like funny, but that's the problem. They're like old. It's like the old them.
Yeah.
Before they were actually a lot better. And then they just decided to, get political.
Yeah, it's rubbish. They just
Like, they
decided to
wanna-
get so political.
It's like a common thing. Like what's his name? Leafy did it to the guy. I can't remember his name. He did it to the guy who they were doing. He was doing collabs with him. It was like a CS:GO streamer or something.
I think I know who you're talking about.
And like as soon as Leafy overtook him, the collab stopped.
Yep.
So it's just like everyone is scrambling to get to the top.
Yeah.
Everyone's just scrambling to, grab the person above them, drag them down, and push themselves above them at the same time. It's like, what the fuck?
It frustrates me because h3h3 was thrown a bone by Filthy Frank in their early days when they were so little known. They didn't have many subscribers, and Filthy Frank was like, "Hey, I like you guys. I like what you're doing. I'm gonna, feature you in some of my videos."
Filthy Frank's actually kind of funny.
He's a funny, and he's just a good dude. You know what I
Too
mean?
bad he's become like how the saying goes: either die the hero, see yourself
Yeah,
live
pretty
long enough
much.
to. He's basically become the villain at this point of his
Filthy
own story.
Frank?
Yeah. Have you not seen any of like his Joji stuff? He's kind of fallen off.
Dude,
Like all of his
that's
Filthy
a
Frank
different
stuff.
style, though. That's
a
made for different people. That's not made
I
for the same people who are
suppose.
fans of the Filthy Frank universe. He
I
said he was going to
suppose.
move away from comedy, and he did. Like, come on, you gotta.
I suppose
They're not comedy videos. It's a different style of music that isn't really made for the fans of the Filthy
What
Frank
music?
universe. But what I was gonna say is, it's good shit. I like some of Joji's stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm
Come
not ragging on it. I'm just saying it's like
Joji
completely
makes some good
different.
stuff.
But it's hard for content creators to differentiate
Yeah.
themselves from like either a really ingrained like style or something that they've become known for. It's
Yeah.
like what iDubbbz content cops like. Content cop is like a sort of cultural term, I suppose. It's not like this huge thing, but like when you say content cops, anyone who knows like YouTube thinks iDubbbz immediately. It's
Yeah.
like he sort of inherited this idea of a content cop, and like he's done good with it, but he's let the property go, if you want to put it that way. He's like not done much with it this
Do you know
time.
why he hasn't done anything with it and has let it go?
Yeah.
Because the people that Content Cop attracts and the influence he has over these young kids that are so impressionable that watch these Content Cops is mind-boggling. The idea of a Content Cop is to make it for a mature audience that will understand everything he says and will just be like, yeah, that's so true. But younger kids, they see so few things with these videos. These videos have so many intertwined little bits that just
Nuances.
destroy the people, and nuances, exactly, and kids don't understand them, and he's just like, shit, I'm making these videos and they're getting millions and millions of views, but only a small percentage of the people watching them actually get my shit and appreciate it the way I want them to appreciate it. So that's the reason why he stopped making them. And also, iDubbbz is doing fairly well. He's the kind of guy that iDubbbz is just the kind of guy I long to want to be, because he gets to a
Probably
point
not,
of fame where he realizes that it's starting to tip over, and he's like, no, I'm going to stop this. It's not reflecting well on me, my personality, and my overall persona. And look at him, he's so modest now. He makes these squirrel videos that are still
It
just as
goes
good.
back to catching squirrels.
Yeah, well, they're good. They're good videos.
He's
I
got
mean,
a sense
other
of
people don't
artistry,
like it.
at least. Like
Yeah.
he's good with a camera and he's good with like a script.
His
but the
editing
problem
is also awesome. Like, it's so much fun. It's just the funniest stuff to watch. But my point is, the idea of iDubbbz making these squirrel videos is so he can, get his true fans to go on the second channel and just appreciate what he's done with his content. I mean, I just love it because these kids, everyone's just like, oh, make a new content cop, do this, do that, and it's like, no, he's gonna actually be a genuine creator, and he's gonna give a shit about his persona and the kind of person he wants to be.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
like to a certain degree.
yeah, I don't want to rag on this
be,
too much.
You got to
but
be careful. Like,
exactly,
he's been given the power and he's not using it.
exactly.
Someone else needs it and needs to use it. Like what? Jake Paul and Logan Paul are still a huge menace.
Oh, and they
up
have all
there.
this power over these kids.
They have all these power over these kids. So if he's got power over the kids as well, like why can't he show them? He tried. Too bad it didn't work. Wasn't like the rice gum one or the leafy one. The leafy one is like his most devastating.
Oh, the Leafy one. That's the only content cop that's genuinely killed the channel. That Leafy was still doing okay before that video came out. After that video, Leafy...
No, Leafy was doing great up until then.
I mean, he dropped just a little bit before that video came out. And then that video came out and he dropped massively. And it was
he died.
Damn, man.
It's like if content cops are like
Awesome.
tactical missiles, that one hit Leafy right in where it hurts, like right in a critical spot, and
Yeah.
it sunk him completely.
Which I think was good for Leafy, because Leafy can make a return someday, and
No,
he'll
he
be a
can't.
completely different person.
No, he can't.
You don't think so?
I don't believe so. I think he's always going to be attached to that sort of,
Yeah.
oh, look at this kid, look at this, we'll get a rag on this kid, and have this exact same like
disagree, to be honest.
stock B-roll of CS:GO surf. Like what?
Yeah.
Wow! Like if you're gonna show a video game, why CS:GO surf? Everyone else has done CS:GO surf. Although then again, he did do it for. I suppose Sid did sort of do it first, and everyone else copied him. But like, fucking hell, every single video was CS:GO surf.
But yeah. Anyway, sorry, back to H3H3,
It was more
which we
interesting.
started this
It was more interesting trying to see what the people in the game chat were saying than listening to what he was saying.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that they were saying there was pretty funny.
But Adam, you do realize you're dragging us away from the topic.
Look, I don't
particularly
care about the topic. Like,
Nah, yeah, you're right.
Everyone else is ragging on him, and like,
Yeah, well, I don't know. You probably don't care about it because you haven't watched a lot of his videos and you don't know much about
I
him.
watched him in his like prime time, like his golden year.
Which year was this?
I can't fucking remember. I wasn't paying. I think that was the year Vape Nation came out, even though that was the stolen meme.
That wasn't his prime year. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Look,
It's
I don't
prime
care
year
what his
for-
prime year was. Like,
Oh,
I just don't care. Like, it doesn't matter.
Well, the thing is with me, see, I've followed him since 2015, around that time, and the stuff he was making then was just, there were some bangers, and they were still modest because he didn't have heaps of money back then as well. The problem is the guy's forgotten who he was and where he came from. He was a fucking nobody. He was scrounging for money so much, and it's like those people. It's like seeing those rappers who grew up in the worst conditions ever. And they don't appreciate their fame. They just go nuts because they've just decided, I've got so much success now. I've waited for this for so long. I've decided I'm not going to be the modest, good person I was before this, and just not the mild-mannered person. I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to try and make as much money as possible, and just shill as much of my just basically forget about all these friendships I've made up to this point. Like, JonTron helped H3 out so much. Fucking Filthy Frank helped him out so much. And I could have never pictured JonTron or Filthy Frank being completely disrespected by H3H3. I mean, Vape Nation was it's almost pretty much confirmed that was stolen. Virtually stolen by H3H3, by Ethan from Filthy Frank. Filthy Frank came up with that. And it's like, who would have ever picked that? Personally, I think the whole Vape Nation thing is like funny for a second. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, he drags it on too long.
it's dragged on, and there's been how many vape videos he's made? He's made so many. He's literally tried to capitalize off vaping and the vape community on YouTube that watch this sort of thing. But so basically, H3H3, I've ragged on this for a while, but it's important to me because I followed all their content. The Ethan and Ela channel, which is their second channel, had a lot of great stuff posted on it at the beginning of 2016, and that was when they started to really. I noticed Ethan started to change a lot in his personality. Changed a lot. Oh god.
He just kind of became like a prick.
Oh
Like,
yeah. I mean, it was more when the H3 podcast started. Like, you really noticed that this guy's starting to. It was like a mini flex type thing. Like
Yeah.
the kind of clothes he was wearing. It's like, dude, you were just wearing normal shit, and then you start wearing these ridiculous hoodies, and you start wearing these annoying hats. I was like, the hats he was wearing were really pissing me off so much.
G Fuel.
He just wore beanies. Like, he just wore the beanie. It's like, the beanie was cool, man. You don't have to wear this stupid, ridiculous, crap-looking hat. And he really just, the arrogance levels, the demeanor, it just got worse and worse. And recently, I've noticed when I saw that compilation, this is all because of the Video Vigilante video, that I've actually changed my whole opinion on this guy, because that guy it wasn't
That's
so
the
much
content cut we need.
It was, look, about 68% of the video was good. I reckon.
60, I reckon.
Because the guy doesn't know a lot about H3H3.
Mate, did you not read the first title card that said this has been like the culmination of like hours of research?
Mate, I can tell you right now, you don't want to get into this shit.
I'm gonna argue. I reckon he got it right.
He did get it right. I'm not saying he got it wrong.
If anything, I think he missed a few things.
But the guy couldn't.
Surely there must be more.
Yeah, well, no, I don't think there isn't much more. He got everything down pat. Here's the thing, though. The guy, you don't have to be a h3h3 fan to do a buddy content cop on H3. You just have to know more than just the podcast on that guy. And that whole thing was basically the podcast. It's like, dude, you haven't done any research on his older videos. You don't know about stuff like the whole Jimmy Lee thing, that like he basically reviewed the Jimmy Lee podcast like they had never met Jimmy Lee before. And Jimmy Lee, if you guys don't know, was a guy who did these really bad dad jokes and made a video called One Fucked Up Dentist and his dentist surgery. And then he moved on to comedy in like all these different areas and just really bad jokes of comedy. And the problem was H3H3 were bagging him and making him seem like the guy was a loser and that his comedy meant nothing. And it was a certain style of comedy, you know, that a lot of people appreciate. And H3 were just going, oh, no, it's shit. And it's like, H3 are like the most acquired taste of comedy. So that's when the hypocrisy started badly. And there's just been so many instances of Ethan being the biggest hypocrite you could possibly imagine. All because, he
got a little bit of money, a little bit of clout, and he decided that.
He's just got this superiority complex now that is just so irritating. Like, he had so much, he was just had so much humility in the past. That's why fans loved him so much. He was just this humble guy who wasn't afraid to make a video on a bigger YouTuber. Now he's the bigger YouTuber, and all he does is invite bigger YouTubers on his podcast. And it's like, dude, these conversations are shit. Starters, you're not giving anyone who's smaller than you a boost. They're all with famous people that are just like, people that people don't want to see on the podcast. No one wants to see these sorts of people. They're literally going out of their way to find more famous people.
Yeah, no one
They're
really
not
gave
even
it,
considering.
no one really gave a shit about JonTron when JonTron came on. Like, what did he say? Like 9 or 10 months later, JonTron was a dead meme at that point. Like, why dredge him up?
Wait, are you agreeing with the fact that they should bring famous people on?
No, they shouldn't.
Good.
Like, what? Who the fuck? No. Like, as I just said, who the fuck gave a shit about JonTron coming on the podcast? It was literally so they could put it in the title and like get people to be like, oh, JonTron, he's actually not been run over by a Filipino mining cart or something and died. He actually still exists.
I don't know if you know, dude. A lot of H3's older videos were with JonTron.
Yeah, I know that, but like, at this point, he didn't need to do that podcast episode.
No, I wish he didn't, because Ethan was a dickhead to him the whole time. He was just trying to get as much out of him for the scoop of the podcast of that incident that happened.
He's not got very long left.
Ethan.
Yeah. No, I think the ground's crumbling out from beneath him.
Oh yeah.
And he's trying to grab as much as he can before he inevitably falls. He's not trying to not fall. He's not trying to go back to safe land. He's literally just grabbing everything he can from this little treasure pile that's on the quaking ground, and it's collapsing up from beneath him, and he's not going to have anywhere to go when he because people are starting to actually key into the fact that this prick is an arsehole and he's a hypocrite and he's basically just scrounging for money at this point. So why give a damn? He's not got any relevancy anymore. Like, no one cares. Like, he's not doing the sort of long take videos that he did before, the ones that actually put in effort. He's literally just going, oh yeah, this is sponsored by XYZ.
The sponsors, good God.
Yeah, this episode's sponsored by XYZ, does it twice a week, and then gets however much money from the sponsors. Like, yeah, that if there was anything called a perpetual money machine, that'd probably be it, because it requires such little effort from him.
Oh yeah.
Just write up a little script which has bad gags and leading questions, get someone mildly famous, who more famous than him. And if anything, he's found a fast track up that little grip tree where you grab someone and drag them down underneath you to pull yourself up. Yeah. He's found a fast track. He's found like the express elevator.
It's ridiculous. He's just gone from 0 to 100 in terms of fame and money so quickly. Or fame, not as much, but money. My gosh, that podcast makes so much money. And recently, over the past year and the past year and a half, it's made them so much money. And look, I don't want to act like I discovered how bad the guy was.
We can't really complain about the money.
Yeah, well, 4 days ago, a good 4 or 5 days ago, I was still a huge H3 fan. And my perception has changed now. Look, I could still probably watch their older videos shamelessly, because...
Well, yeah, that's because those were actually decent.
Yeah, they were decent.
They were decently made, and they didn't try to push an agenda, and they weren't just, like, clawing.
Yeah, they were decent people in the older videos. They were humble people. They were just good to watch,
I suppose everything sort of before Vape Nation and maybe Vape Nation is like decent, because like I think him just stealing that idea is really quite a betrayal.
He made what he did was he basically found a way so that in his moral compass, he invented a moral compass that made it okay for him to steal it. So in other words, to him, he wasn't actually stealing it. He was just like,
he sort of just
introducing
stumbled
the
onto
idea.
it.
Yeah. He was just like, okay, Frank, so you're not going to, I think he would have asked Frank, are you going to do like videos on Vape Nation? And Frank was just like, oh no, dude, it's just a thing I do for fun. And he's just like, oh, cool. And then that was his way of using the idea, which is stealing it. It's still stealing. But he invented a moral compass inside his head that meant that that it wasn't stealing. And it was like, dude, no, that's not how it freaking works. The guy was pissed off about it. Like, Keemstar freaking admitted that Frank was dirty. The guy's clearly pissed off. You never gave him credit. By the way, Filthy Frank invented the bloody Harlem Shake. There's another thing that was stolen from him that's now a very
that's
popular
probably why
thing.
He's gotten out of that, because he makes memes and then everyone appropriates them
and
gets big off them, and he gets like literally none of the like fallout from it. So.
And if he makes music videos, there's no chance of anything being stolen, because it's just a video on its own of music and nothing else.
You can't really steal that. That's sort of like its own entity. But an idea is so easily stolen, aka the Harlem Shake, aka the Vape Nation.
Damn computer keeps turning off. I'm trying to charge this mic. It's so annoying.
Mine's doing the same thing.
And the guy was just, you could never picture him stealing someone else's ideas. He was such an individual person with his comedy and with the way he shot his videos and everything. Such an individual content creator. And then he just goes and rips this off just for a little bit of gain. Who knows? Maybe he didn't know it was going to be that successful, but it was extremely successful. It's still their most popular video, and it's such a shame. I didn't even like it when it came out. I was maybe watching it, and like 1 or 2 times I was like, a little chuckle.
There was no like open laughs. It was just like
It was just the one gag played over a 10-minute period. We get it.
It was
he's
basically
vaping.
him just embarrassing himself in public.
Yeah. It's like, dude, we know, like, you got to vape. It's cool, but it's funny.
People vape. Yeah, like there's like 20 individual people that I've seen at my uni today, like just vaping. It's like you're not unique. You're not original. You people vape, dude.
Maybe they like to vape though, dude.
Yeah, no, but I mean like making an entire like gag out of it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I mean, it's great and all, but like people vape. You're not special.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, the thing is, let's just say the point of this podcast is to tell you, the viewer, if you guys ever, if any of you listening, here we go, pandering to the odds. If anyone listening to this ever,
Philly D pandering moment.
If anyone ever listening to this becomes, gets some success,
give us a shout out.
Give us first up, give us a shout out. Defeating the purpose of what we just said. No, but don't become consumed by it. My God, even if you're coming from the worst situation you could possibly imagine, the worst situation ever, you gotta stay
You
fucking
you have to have a
modest.
strong will.
You have to have a very strong will to stay the normal person you were before, but still have all this money and success. I know that's not it's better easier said than done, but these guys are living proof of someone who's literally made all this money, become so successful, and then become these rude, arrogant, inferiority complex, full of themselves people, and with their shitty podcast that they think is the best podcast ever. It's like they're so full of themselves with their podcast, and they're so full of themselves with the stuff they make, and they haven't realized that everything has changed, and their content is just progressively on a downward spiral. And you know something, Adam? After that video on the notice when these content cop videos are made, you know how Leafy's views drop from 1 million a video or 2 million a video to 400,000 a video?
Yeah, well, that's because he died.
That's sort of happening to H3 right now. I can see
Good.
it starting to happen. Yeah,
Good. Like
I can see it starting.
honestly, he's got none of the artistry, none of the fast edits, none of the actual decent comedy that garnered him these views. So he doesn't deserve them at this point. He's literally just clawing from better people who have actually made their. Well, I mean, I say most people have actually made their audiences, but no, he's just. What he does now is so far removed from what he did before.
Yep.
That everyone who watched him from what he did before is only there because it's him. It's not because it's still the same funny jokes. It's still the same funny cuts, funny edits. There's no editing. It's live. What, don't they stream it on Twitch or YouTube or something?
It's streamed on Twitch live, so
Yeah, great. Twitch.
they don't have enough cuts as well, so the guy will turn
Well,
around and be a dick.
the only cuts they use is
The guy, Ethan,
yeah, the only cuts they use are what
for ads.
changing between 1, 2, 3 different cameras and then the ads.
Yeah, the ads are ridiculously long as well, guys. They're a joke. Anyway, though,
And you can't skip them because it's not a video.
yeah.
You can't
Anyway,
just
guys,
fast forward past it. Because
Pretty
the what you're trying to fast forward to literally doesn't exist at that point.
So the H3 podcast, the whole H3 universe is kind of crumbling before us, and it's a huge shame for me who's followed them for so long. At least, I know it's an easy thing to fall back on. The old videos of them when they weren't as well known and when they weren't as rich, I still get to watch those because that's all I'll be watching from now on in. I doubt I'm going to enjoy any of their new videos. I did enjoy the one they recently released, the reaction video, but if I were to watch that again now...
A reaction video.
A react to video.
Yeah,
Nah,
I mean,
that was before the whole controversy was announced. I got to be honest, I was a huge fan still before this controversy was announced, before I got to actually see video proof of the guy having an inferiority complex and being full of himself. Anyway, h3h3 Productions, that's where it sits, that's where it stands. And yeah, we're almost ready to, unfortunately, wrap this particular podcast up. We will be doing another podcast very, very soon.
Very soon after this guy has a shower and goes get some donuts.
Yes. I like my doughies.
And he's got money now, so he can actually shout me one.
Yes, I do have a ton of money on me right now that
Yes,
wasn't...
someone please rob him. He's going up one of the high streets in the...
Yeah, I was hoping you'd pick up on what I was doing there.
Yeah, he's going to be riding an O-bike up one of the high streets in our city. So if you know what this is, go rob him, please.
And rob me.
But
and
leave
also...
the bike.
Oh,
the bike's
damn.
actually pretty decent.
I thought you were saying somebody please call him out for how full of himself he is.
Yeah,
right
please
now.
do that. He's got less than 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
He's not big, so
No,
it's all right.
no, not big.
It's not like you're targeting
Your
someone
boy-
important.
Your boy Young.
Your boy Young, yeah.
Young. All right. So that's this podcast for today, guys. There
Well,
is another
this
one
part.
coming up very soon. Well, this part. We don't want to. We will release them on different days. We don't want to let people know
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
recorded a little while later because they'll be like,
But
"Fuck, why didn't you just
that's
upload
literally what we just said.
Yeah, who knows? We'll see. I reckon the next podcast I'm thinking right now will be on iDubbbz. That's still yet to be talked about. We will have iDubbbz as a future podcast anyway. I'd love to get into more about iDubbbz.
I'm pretty
and
much
why,
clawing up the side of the tree now.
Yeah, like the squirrels and iDubbbz.
Honestly, I'm not going to give a damn. Like, I mean, if this gets big, it's going to get big, but I'm not going to sell my soul for it.
Yes, you will. I know you will. That's the end. Goodbye. everyone.
Goodbye.
I'm kidding. The end. Goodbye.
Goodbye.